My name is Ewan, and this is Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. Alright, hi, welcome to my little game. I've been playing here on hard mode for the last little while. I've been posting some screenshots onto Reddit from this playthrough, and I figured I would just make a quick little video to show you and to highlight a little bit of what how I've been playing. So this is a hard mode playthrough, and this is my starter town, Seed Town, in the corner of the map. Flatlands with Hills, I believe is the name of this map. It can be found on the Steam Workshop. So here we are. This little town is the starter town. Its whole job is to facilitate this here oil refinery. It is here to turn oil into bitumen and fuel, and then to sell it across the border to Euro-Mexico. So we've got a bitumen plant, which I'm not convinced is balanced very well, but it's producing power from a good portion of the map. I'm in the middle of a project that's going to phase it out and replace it, but this whole area will be very soon demolished. The oil refinery and the rail infrastructure is here to stay, but the town itself, the inhabitants, they're all going to be moved. I don't like having... Let's see, where's the pollution center here? View actual pollution. Oh, hold on. It's hard to kind of see. So, there we are. The entire town's pretty much red or yellow. Very, very unhealthy to live here. And yes, it's a video game, but I still would like to get this bar up here along with the food and the happiness and the sports and hope the entertainment we're also working on. I'll show you that bit in a bit as well. But this section is going to be where the refinery sits and oil export. Then the rails. This was part of the first project, was this rail line, was to get not along any of these buildings, but out to this oil field. This oil field was the first oil field that started us down the path to energy independence. It wasn't until the northern field was tapped, this much larger, if further away field, that we actually did get to the point where we had more oil coming in than the refinery in Seed Town was able to process. And so it's not a bad problem. Too much oil, it's not a bad problem. So this rail infrastructure is for that. And then now this is some of the newer things. Oh, looks like my noodles have finished building it. Excellent. So I've started no longer paying for things with the cash money, other than importing the goods to make the things. I've started making the things myself, and I've made these 4 power plants myself. And I'm working on the coal refineries that will feed it. Initially, I had a rail line running through, and I was going to feed it coal by rail, but then I just put the processing facilities here, and 2 long conveyor belts later, no train needed. It still has the infrastructure to pick up coal from the processing facility, because I will have to export the coal potentially to other power plants around the map in the future, but definitely to the steel refinery that will be built over there-ish, maybe. But anyways, here's the coal refinery and the brick factory. I sped the brick factory up and then decided I wasn't going to actually make bricks because I'd have to bring in people and yada yada. The infrastructure for bringing people in is a work in progress, but I'll talk to you a bit more about that in a second. Over here, this is the iron and gravel facilities. So the gravel is mined here and processed here and then loaded onto a train and then taken to places that need gravel. I don't have a local gravel pickup spot here, which seems a little silly. There should be one. Well, maybe not. It depends. I don't imagine that I'll be building any construction yards near here, or nearer here than where they are already. So then around this way, I like this map because it has some fun mountains to build in, but also a massive flat prairie to build in. And my intention is to fill the entire map. But down around here, if we just come along here, this is our NATO access, and here is 2 of the iron mines, very productive land in here, and then coal in here, and then they will be both shipped along rail and processed at their various processing facilities. And as we come down here, this is where my construction zone is. Things are kind of winding down at the moment because I let the game run for a bit without giving them any new orders, and so they've almost caught up on everything that I had them on to build. Although they are still picking up stuff, so I guess there is still work going on. These prefab towers take a long time to build. But this is my centralized building hub. There are pretty long commutes. It's outside of their natural build radius of, 3,000 meters. They're building like out at 6, 7, 10,000 meters. This little town of Regina only exists to supply buses with workers so that the things that are built by this crew actually get built. And the primary thing that they have been building is all the way down that road, right here, Winnipeg. And they're doing a pretty good job, I have to admit. This has come together a lot quicker and more painlessly than I had initially anticipated. This is going to be the main residential hub for the south side. I am going to build another one, probably. And maybe this may even expand into a double. What do I mean by a double? This would be the single, the rail station. Every single one of these tall buildings here is within walking distance of this here building. And then I have 3 grocery stores. I didn't go for the big one because I think it's terrible. But I went for the, small shopping center, and I have a small warehouse and a small, just a regular sized meat storage attached to both. So there's 75 tons capacity for meat, 90 tons capacity for food, clothing, and electronics. So these 3 grocery stores should be able to hopefully keep everybody fed without running out of food, and also be able to run off of delivery trucks bringing in my own meat, produce, clothing, and electronics. Because of course the other goal isn't just to fill up the map, but it is to achieve autonomy. Because that is what every great nation should be striving for. The ability to hold one's own head up without needing to rest it on anyone else's shoulders for anything. So, that's what this nice mess is. And it's not 100% finished. It's pretty packed around here. There are some areas that I've left like a little bit of wiggle room, or there are buildings that can be taken down. I have schools and kindergartens intermixed into the buildings, but largely anything that I've forgotten, anything that's just slightly out of range, anything that needs to be crammed in will be crammed in on the outer ring. And so there's going to be room all along the outside to put other things. So if buildings over here aren't close enough to the gymnasium or something. And that's the other thing. I'm using gymnasiums, these buildings here, instead of any additional sports buildings. These buildings have quickly become my favorite. They're not too broken, I don't think, for the total number of people that they can hold in them. And I don't know, well, especially if you compare it to the soccer field or especially the tennis court. The tennis court is awful. It can only hold 4 people, and I need something that's a little bit higher density. So I may, at some point, depending on how this shakes out and how much room I have after, people start moving into this thing. We may put the larger sports arena out here as well. Where is it? I'm pretty sure I've had it for a bit. It should be further along the list. I thought. Yeah, here it is. Alright, that's not so bad as far as size goes. We could have this thing out here. But the plan tentatively is to have smaller dwelling units out here along with parking lots for cars, and then have people with advanced education get access to vehicles and to live out where they can park their vehicles. And then that's also where, you know, the radio station is and the TV, so it'll be like the upper class of our classless society. Yes. So the rail lines here are going to provide all of the workers a job. If you live in these tenements, you're not working at the gym or the theater or the grocery store. You're walking down to the train station to get onto one of the electric trains that will take you to work at one of the various locations around the map. And which is why it's important they're all walking distance to here. And it's also important that nothing gets in the way of these trains. These trains, I've been going out of my way. All of the plans, all of these, you know, this is just the most annoying of them all. This area in here, none of these lines cross over each other. Like, you never would have one train crossing the track of another train, and I get away with that through clever use of tunnels. So by having tunnels be the way that they cross over each other, they don't ever need to stop. And also by using, of course, bridges. Because bridges are another way that you can get things to loop around and reconnect with themselves in weird ways. So back in Winnipeg, we've got all of these viaducts that will take people to and fro without needing to stop and wait at the train tracks. Because you also don't want to be stuck in a situation where a building is burning down and something's happened with the rail lines where they're all backed up and something burns down that didn't have to burn down. That'd be terrible. So, yeah, well, the construction yards do seem to still be running. Oh, yeah. Oh, speaking of fire, how exciting. Let's go see what's on fire. Oh, that's terrible. And hilarious. Alright, well, we're going to just sell this vehicle, yes. And then we're going to demolish that. And now these guys are without a... if you're not used to playing this game, these guys were out here for terraforming purposes. You can terraform the land for free, so long as you have your own vehicles. They don't actually need roads going to the areas that they're terraforming. You can just plop them down in the middle of nowhere like this, buy a bunch of bulldozers, and then go into the tools, and you can make a little mountain, or a big mountain. Let's see. I've only got the one excavator. Anyways, it's free, so long as you buy your own equipment and fuel. So, I think that more or less wraps up where I'm at. I have not yet moved anybody into the main city. It's just a work in progress. The rail lines for moving people around haven't been set up yet. The main freight lines are installed. The working town for constructing Megapolis is up. The new power plant system is almost ready to be turned on. And my seed town, the first place, is on the verge of being liquidated. We've already got the rail line half built that will bring in the workers to work here once they're living in their new Winnipeg paradise all the way over here on the water. So, thanks for checking out my city. And if you haven't picked up this game, you can get it on Steam. It's in early access. And it's from 3 Division. I highly recommend it. It is quite a bit of fun. It gives you an awful lot of options as to how you want to tackle different problems, and allows you to be creative and build in these weird off-grid designs. It's really like, if you want to be OCD about it, the game allows you to do that as well. But that ain't me, son. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. Go buy the game. It's great.